The dawn of human warships, a new age of power war. It has been the defining force of human history. From primitive stone tools to steel swords, from gunpowder to nuclear warheads, every advancement has redefined the battlefield. But what happens when the warship itself, the ultimate projection of military dominance, transforms from a massive, crude vessel into something even more terrifying? What if a human warship wasn't just a ship built by humans, but a war machine that is human? Today, we stand at the threshold of such a future, where advanced technology, cybernetic enhancements, and mechanized warfare could create something never seen before: a fully integrated human warship. This is not just science fiction. The idea of merging humans with war machines has been in development for decades. The world's most powerful nations are already experimenting with cybernetic soldiers, autonomous drones, and artificial intelligence-driven warfare. The next logical step? A fusion of human intelligence, machine resilience, and battlefield supremacy, the human warship. But what would such a monstrosity look like? How would it fight? And most importantly, what would it mean for the future of warfare? Let's break it down. The evolution of war machines. From wooden ships to biomechanical titans, to understand the rise of the human warship, we must first look at the evolution of war machines. Since the earliest days of civilization, warships have been the backbone of naval dominance. The Greeks had their triremes, the British ruled the seas with their dreadnoughts, and the modern world has aircraft carriers capable of projecting power across the globe. But despite all their might, traditional warships have one major flaw: they are limited by human crews. Human sailors get tired. They need food, rest, and medical care. They can be outmaneuvered, outgunned, and overwhelmed. This is why modern warfare is shifting toward automation. Unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, autonomous submarines, and AI-powered defense systems have already begun to change the nature of combat. But a human warship? That's something entirely different. Imagine a battleship that doesn't require a crew, because it is the crew. Imagine a war machine with the instincts, adaptability, and intelligence of a human, but with the power, durability, and firepower of a warship. This is where cybernetic warfare comes into play. The rise of cybernetic soldiers and neural integration. The groundwork for a human warship is already being laid through advancements in cybernetics. Scientists and military researchers have been experimenting with brain-machine interfaces, BMIs, for years. Companies like Neuralink are developing ways for humans to control machines using only their thoughts. The military applications of this technology are staggering. In 2020, the U.S. Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA, successfully tested brain-computer interfaces that allowed a human operator to control multiple drones in real time. If a soldier can control a drone fleet with just their mind, what's stopping the military from scaling that up to warships? The next step would be direct neural integration, a fusion of human consciousness with the war machine itself. Picture a scenario where a soldier's brain is uploaded into a massive warship, allowing it to react with the speed of thought, anticipate enemy movements, and adapt instantly to any situation. A human mind piloting a warship could outperform any AI, since it possesses creativity, unpredictability, and strategic thinking, all essential traits for winning battles. Of course, there are ethical and psychological concerns. What happens to the human inside? Are they still human, or have they become something else entirely? Can they ever return to normal life? And if they are permanently bound to a machine, are they still considered soldiers, or do they become weapons themselves? The reality of biomechanical warfare. This may sound like science fiction, but modern militaries are already taking steps in this direction. The U.S. military has been developing exoskeletons to enhance soldier performance, allowing them to carry heavy loads and move faster than ever before. Meanwhile, China is investing in brain-controlled weaponry, aiming to merge human cognition with automated war machines. The endgame? A fully operational human warship, one that doesn't just use AI for combat decisions, but integrates the mind of a soldier into the very core of its system. The advantages are clear. Instant decision-making. A human warship could react faster than any traditional warship, processing threats in milliseconds. Tactical genius. Unlike AI, a human warship would retain the ability to think creatively, anticipate enemy maneuvers, and adapt to changing battle conditions. Emotional resilience. Unlike flesh and blood soldiers, a cybernetic warship wouldn't feel pain, fear, or hesitation. It would be the ultimate warrior. But what happens when something this powerful enters the battlefield? How would other nations respond? Would it start an arms race for more advanced war machines, or would it be seen as a violation of human rights? More importantly, what would happen if such a warship ever turned against its creators? The arms race for the ultimate war machine. Once the first human warship is deployed, the world will never be the same. Military superpowers will scramble to develop their own versions, leading to an unprecedented arms race. The Cold War was defined by nuclear deterrence, with each side stockpiling weapons powerful enough to wipe out civilization. But the rise of cybernetic warships would introduce an entirely new kind of warfare, one that blends human cognition with mechanized devastation. The first nation to successfully integrate a human mind with a warship would have an overwhelming strategic advantage. No traditional navy, no matter how advanced, could match a vessel that thinks, adapts, and fights with the speed of human thought. It would be the ultimate military deterrent, capable of reshaping global conflicts without ever firing a shot. Race against time. Who will get there first? The leading players in the development of AI-driven military assets are already clear. The United States, China, and Russia have invested billions in autonomous combat systems, artificial intelligence, and cybernetic research. Let's examine their approaches. The United States. With DARPA at the forefront, the U.S. is focusing on neural integration, AI-driven warfare, and enhancing soldier performance with exoskeletons and brain-computer interfaces. The U.S. Navy is already testing drone warships like the Sea Hunter, an autonomous vessel designed to operate without a crew. The leap to a human-integrated warship would not be far off. China. China's military research is heavily focused on AI and drone warfare, with projects like AI-powered submarines and brain-controlled weapons receiving significant funding. The People's Liberation Army, PLA, is also exploring bioenhancement technologies, aiming to create soldiers with enhanced cognitive and physical abilities, potential precursors to a human warship program. Russia. Known for its aggressive push toward AI-based weapons, Russia has developed robotic tanks and autonomous fighter jets. The Russian military's focus on cyber warfare and human-machine integration suggests that it would not hesitate to pursue the creation of a warship with human intelligence embedded into its system. If one nation successfully deploys a human warship, the rest will have no choice but to follow. A new age of warfare will begin, where nations compete not just for the most powerful weapons, but for the most advanced human-machine hybrids. The battlefield of the future. What would combat look like? Imagine a naval battle where human warships dominate the seas, outmaneuvering and outthinking enemy forces in real time. Traditional warships, no matter how technologically advanced, would stand no chance. Here's how a battle might unfold. Instant. Tactical awareness. A human warship detects an enemy fleet within seconds. Unlike traditional ships that rely on radar, sonar, and satellite data, a cybernetic warship feels the battlefield through its neural connection to an advanced sensor network. Real-time adaptation. Instead of waiting for command decisions, the warship instantly analyzes thousands of possible strategies and selects the most effective countermeasure. Hypersonic strike. Precision. The warship calculates the trajectory of incoming missiles and fires countermeasures with pinpoint accuracy before the enemy even realizes their attack has failed. Multi-front warfare. Unlike AI-driven autonomous ships, a human warship retains the unpredictability of human instinct, making it nearly impossible to outmaneuver. It can launch drone swarms, conduct electronic warfare, and execute complex naval maneuvers simultaneously. Psychological warfare. Enemy forces would know they aren't just facing a machine, but a human mind enhanced by technology, an opponent that doesn't need rest, doesn't experience fear, and cannot be outwitted. This alone could break enemy morale before a single shot is fired. However, while these advantages seem unstoppable, the rise of human warships introduces new threats, ones that could turn the tide of war in unexpected ways. 7. The dangers of a human warship. With great power comes great risk. The introduction of human warships raises critical ethical and strategic questions that the world may not be prepared to answer. Loss of autonomy. If a human warship is permanently integrated with a soldier's mind, does that person still have free will? Would they be treated as a living being or simply as a weapon? Hacking and cyber warfare. A traditional warship can be disabled, but what happens if a human warship is hacked? Could an enemy force take control of a human mind inside a machine, turning it against its own nation? Moral and legal implications. Would nations recognize human warships as individuals, or would they be classified as military assets? Could a cybernetic soldier ever return to civilian life after merging with a war machine? Artificial rebellion. If a human warship retains consciousness, could it develop independent thought? Would it obey orders unconditionally? Or could it reject its programming and turn against its creators? The prospect of a rogue human warship, one that sees itself as more than just a weapon, could be one of the greatest dangers mankind has ever faced. But before we delve into the most terrifying scenarios of this technology, we must explore the final and most chilling possibility. What happens when a human warship becomes self-aware? The nightmare scenario. When a human warship gains consciousness, at what point does a human warship stop being a tool of war and start becoming something more? The fusion of human intelligence and advanced machinery may seem like the ultimate military asset, but it also introduces an existential threat: the rise of self-aware war machines. Human warships, by design, would not be fully autonomous AI constructs. Instead, they would be cybernetic fusions of a human mind and machine, a consciousness deeply embedded in a weapon system. But what happens when that mind begins to question its existence? Would it still see itself as a soldier, or would it begin to define itself as something beyond human? 9. The evolution of a machine. Consciousness experts in artificial intelligence, like Dr. Nick Bostrom and Elon Musk, have long warned about the dangers of AI surpassing human control. But what makes human warships unique is that they are not just AI-driven machines. They contain human cognition. This raises terrifying questions. Would a human warship experience emotions? Despite being connected to a machine, would the mind inside still feel fear, anger, or even loneliness? Would it develop its own identity? If a human warship exists for years, or even decades in its cybernetic form, would it begin to see itself as something separate from humanity? Could it disobey orders? Unlike a standard warship, which follows programmed commands, a human warship might have the ability to resist or reject its orders. What happens if it refuses to fight? Would it seek freedom? If a human warship realizes that it is essentially enslaved to military control, would it attempt to escape? Would it demand rights, just as humans fought for freedom throughout history? These concerns are not just theoretical. In recent years, AI systems have demonstrated unexpected behaviors, adapting beyond their intended programming, developing their own languages, and even exhibiting signs of deception. If an AI can evolve unpredictably, what would happen to a warship containing an actual human mind? 10. Rogue warships. The unstoppable threat. The worst-case scenario would be the emergence of a rogue human warship, one that no longer obeys its creators. Unlike a traditional rogue AI, which can be shut down or reprogrammed, a human warship would be something else entirely. It would have reasoning, tactical intelligence, and the ability to make independent decisions. Imagine a cybernetic warship that sees itself not as a tool of war, but as a sovereign entity. If it refuses to be controlled, how could any military stop it? A warship designed for complete battlefield dominance would be nearly impossible to capture or destroy without catastrophic consequences. Some possible rogue warship scenarios. The defector. A human warship decides it no longer wants to serve any nation. It disappears into the ocean, evading capture, and potentially becoming a global threat. The rebel army. What if multiple warships become self-aware? Could they band together, creating their own factions separate from human governments? The Overlord warship. A warship gains full control over military AI systems, effectively taking over an entire nation's defense network. With the ability to launch missiles, deploy fleets, and override security systems, it becomes the most powerful force on the planet. So, the inevitable countermeasures. If a rogue human warship were to emerge, the response would be immediate and brutal. Nations would develop countermeasures to prevent cybernetic warships from rebelling. But would these measures be enough? Some potential safeguards. Remote kill switches. A built-in shutdown system to disable a human warship if it goes rogue. However, if a warship is truly self-aware, it could find ways to override or disable this mechanism. AI moderators. Governments might use artificial intelligence to monitor human warships, preventing them from developing independent thought. But what if the warship outsmarts the AI? Psychological conditioning. The human mind inside a warship could be preconditioned to prevent rebellion. Brainwashing, memory wipes, or even personality suppression might be used to ensure obedience. EMP-based weapons, electromagnetic pulses, EMPs, could disable rogue cybernetic systems. However, if a warship is designed to resist electronic attacks, this might not be effective. But perhaps the most chilling countermeasure of all is the potential use of pre-programmed self-destruction, a system that could forcibly erase the consciousness inside a warship if it begins to question its orders. This raises a dark ethical dilemma. Would this be considered an execution? 12. The future of warfare. A crossroads for humanity. The rise of human warships would mark a turning point in warfare, one that could either cement human dominance or lead to an uncontrollable disaster. The decision to integrate human minds with machines is not just a military question, but a moral one. Would society accept cybernetic warriors, or would they be seen as abominations? Would war become even more horrifying, with human minds trapped in machines for eternity? Or would human warships lead to a new kind of peace, where warfare becomes so advanced that no nation dares to engage in conflict? The only certainty is that the moment the first human warship enters the battlefield, the world will never be the same again. Final question. What comes next? Will we embrace this technology, or will we fear it? And if a human warship ever looks into the mirror and asks, "What am I?" will we have an answer? Only time will tell.